All right, let's just jump right into a scenario that is as wild as it is absolutely terrifying. We're going to explore a really fascinating question today. What if our moon, our familiar friend in the night sky, suddenly collapsed and became a black hole? I mean, really, just take a second and try to picture it. You step outside tonight, look up to where the moon's supposed to be, and it's gone. Or at least the moon you've known your whole life is gone. What if something else was there instead? Because in this new reality, this is what you'd see. On one side, our moon as we know it, that comforting, familiar light. But on the other, what it's become. A tiny, perfect dot of pure black, ringed by this ominous, swirling fire. And here's the first thing that's just hard to wrap your head around, the scale of it. This new object, this tiny black hole, would be the size of a single grain of sand. That's it. But, and this is the absolute kicker, it might be microscopic, but it's just as heavy as it was before. All the mass, all the weight of our entire moon is now crammed into that one impossible little point. Its gravity hasn't changed a bit. And that right there is where the real nightmare begins. So how does this whole thing play out? Well, the first act in this cosmic horror story is what we could call the silent transformation. At first, the biggest change is just what you see. The Earth and its new dark moon, they just keep on dancing in their orbit like nothing's happened. It's totally stable. For a moment, you might even be tricked into thinking, hey, maybe this will be okay. Yeah, that moment of calm does not last long. The visual weirdness is about to become a full-on physical catastrophe as we dive into Act 2, the tidal nightmare. See, with all that mass packed into a single point, it creates this insane gravitational gradient. The pull on the side of Earth closest to the black hole is now way, way stronger than the pull on the far side. And that difference, that stretching force, is catastrophic. This brings us to a scientific term that is just terrifyingly accurate: spaghettification. And yep, it's as awful as it sounds. It's what happens when those tidal forces get so extreme, they literally stretch and pull an object apart into long, thin strands. Like spaghetti. Now, imagine that happening to our oceans. We're not talking about your normal high and low tides anymore. Not even close. The water is literally being sucked upward, pulled right off the surface of the planet into these gigantic vertical towers reaching for the sky. And the water is just the beginning. Once the oceans are gone, those same forces start going to work on the solid planet itself. Welcome to Act 3, the Earth cracks. The whole sequence of destruction is just brutal and fast. First, the oceans get ripped away. As they go, they basically drag our atmosphere out into space with them. And then, with nothing left to protect it, the very ground beneath our feet starts to break. Think about that. With every single orbit, the planet is being squeezed and stretched by this relentless gravitational pulse. It's like a rhythmic assault that our planet's crust just can't handle. It starts to crack and shatter. And that brings us to the final grim act. The passive destruction is over. Now, the active consumption begins. This is the executioner's glow. So as the Earth is being torn apart, it creates this huge cloud of stuff in space: air, water, vaporized rock, you name it. And our former moon, now this hungry little void, starts to feed on all that debris. And when a black hole feeds, it creates something new. As all that matter spirals in, it gets superheated from all the friction and forms what's called an accretion disk. It's this brilliant, blinding ring of gas that's blasting out lethal X-rays. So now that tiny point of perfect darkness is surrounded by the most violent, brightest light you can imagine. Our night sky is gone. Instead, it's lit up by this hellish, radioactive, neon violet glow. The very thing that's killing us becomes the brightest object in the sky. One source summed up the absolute terror of this moment perfectly. It said, "The moon is no longer a light in the dark, it is a hungry void." We are no longer orbiting a protector, we are orbiting our executioner. Wow, that line is just chilling, isn't it? It perfectly captures this complete, horrifying flip of the moon's entire role in our world. And that really is the heart of it. The most constant, predictable, and frankly, reassuring thing humanity has ever known becomes the very engine of our own destruction. This whole thought experiment just goes to show you how fragile our little spot in the cosmos really is. And it kind of leaves you with this one final, unsettling question to think about. What other cosmic horrors are out there, just hiding in plain sight, maybe just one impossible change away from showing themselves?